The following is a conversation with Brendan Clarke. Brendan is one of the most accomplished goalkeepers to compete in the League of Ireland. His accolades include a Premier Division title in 2013, an FAI Cup in 2014, and 2 First Division titles with Shelbourne and most recently this year with Galway United. Brendan has been the chairperson of the PFAI for the past 3 years. We hope you enjoy the podcast. About this week.
That was good, yeah. Well done. He had a disaster last week trying to clap in. He clapped 4 times. One of them was clean connection.
Yeah, couldn't even
Welcome,
hear.
Brendan. Thank you very much for coming on. We really appreciate it. It's one of the ones we said when we get into the off season, we definitely want to get you in. Incredibly successful year. Just gives a brief summary of it. How's it been to obviously win the league with Galway?
Yeah, look, it's first. Listen, thanks for inviting me in. We were speaking about it during the year, but my kind of worry was you start doing podcasts before you have anything won, like it can come back to bite you. So we obviously delayed. Yeah. But no, look, it's been a brilliant year. Obviously the off season last year, I had the chat with Damien at Shelbourne, and listen, he decided he was going in a different direction goalkeeper wise. Listen, fine, I get on great with him. There's no animosity there, but literally straight away John Caulfield was on. Trying to get me down to Galway, which was you kind of thinking, do I want to be travelling kind of at this stage or whatever of my career? And I said, listen, I'll drive down and meet you. I wanted to see what the drive was like, stuff like that. But as soon as I met him in the hotel, it was let's go for it. Mm-hmm. There was nothing about kind of being promoted through playoffs or having other teams do favours for you. It was you're coming in to win as a league, like as part of the squad to win a league, and that was it. And look, that was something I really wanted to be part of. Mm-hmm.
Very good. And what a season it was. 55%, I was looking up last night, 55% clean sheet record, 36 games. It's not bad.
No, it's
not bad.
We've done okay, to be fair. I mean, that was one of the things we take a lot of pride in, is clean sheets. And you look, it's drilled into us every day from John and Ollie and Chris and the rest of the staff. Clean sheets are massive, like, you know. Look, I'm not going to start speaking about other goalkeepers and stuff, but you know, from previous years in Galway, they would have leaked a lot of goals as a team. You know, they would have drawn games that they should have won, and they would have lost games they should have drawn or whatever. So it was about getting a group together that was going to buy into what they wanted, and we knew with the players that John and Ollie and the staff had put together, like we would score goals, and if we could kind of work on that mindset of keeping clean sheets every game, we knew we'd have a good year.
A good year it was. Right, well, something we've introduced over the last couple of weeks to the podcast. I'm not too sure if you've listened to many of them, but the more recent ones, we ask someone who knows the guest, either has worked with them, played with them, obviously from a player perspective, to put in an anonymous testimonial to give a good background on who you are. So obviously we won't tell you the player; you'll never know the player. But this is it's a very good testimonial about yourself. So Clarke is the type of player I want in my dressing room. He holds himself and others around him accountable and to the standards he deems acceptable. He's also the kind of bloke you want beside you when the shit hits the fan. He's the calm in the storm. He treats every single player, staff member, and fan with the same respect, which is an amazing quality. To achieve what he has and to be playing at the age he is a testament to his professionalism and his hunger. Proud to have shared a dressing room with him and call him a friend. How's that feel?
Yeah, really humbling. Amazing words, like, you know, it's I think the bit at the end there is it would be the best bit of proud to call him a friend, like. Look, it's I'd love to know who said it, so drop a few quid. But no, look, I suppose that's just me. I like to treat everyone with the same respect that I like to be treated with myself. So
absolutely. We had Dave O'Connor last week, who's the Shells Women's Ash League's S&C coach, and he was talking about the power of like connection with players, staff, whoever is involved in a club. I presume off a testimonial like that, it seems like something you would value very highly, connecting with everyone. And how important is that for culture in clubs?
I think it's very important. I think it's important to buy into what the club is and what they want. You know, we're employees at the end of the day, but I think when you go into a club, if you don't buy into it, you can go off on your own little tangent and you can easily find yourself separated from the group. You know, which from experience, if you've got one or two bad eggs in the dressing room, it can bring a whole place down. But you know, in terms of, I always find myself, you need to buy into what the club is so you can give yourself fully to it. It was just like, it was a weird one going from Pats to Shells, because they would have had a massive rivalry. As when I was growing up as a Pats fan, like Pats and Shells would have had a right back and forth, like, you know, in the early 2000s. But I knew going to Shells, I had to buy into what the club is and what the manager wants footballing wise, what like you said, the culture, what's the culture of the club. You just have to immerse yourself in it to you have to immerse yourself in it to I feel to fully get out of it what you put into it. You know?
No, makes total sense. What is some of the key pillars, for example, in Galway this year? You obviously have to have a strong culture. You're already going into a culture as well for the first year of it. But what are some of the key pillars you think every club needs outside of, obviously there's going to be different things depending on location and whatnot. There's a lot that goes into a club, but is there anything you really align with when it comes to pillars of a football club?
Footballing wise?
Yeah, footballing wise.
I think I've said it this year in a couple of interviews. I won't swear, but you can't have any idiots in the dressing room. You can't. It's like I said, it can bring a whole place down. And if you have a group who align with that and who are willing to call people out when they start going overboard, it brings everything back into sync, and it can be. I think it creates a better environment to train and go into work.
If you, as a senior player, obviously now in Galway, with the career you've had, do you find that responsibility is on the likes of yourself, or is it left to a captain or whatever? Because I know obviously in clubs everyone looks at a captain, but there's more than a captain. A lot of captains actually are by nature a little bit more quiet and they just lead by example and whatnot. But do you feel a lot of internal responsibility as a more senior player to go, right, I need to nullify this or get rid of this in the dressing room before it starts getting something worse?
I think it naturally comes with age and experience, that some of the younger lads will go to you, you know, because you're building relationships with these that they mightn't build with staff members and stuff, you know. So there is a trust, because you're doing the same job, and you know, I find that once you get a little bit older, you do become, it's like a natural progression into being that link between a younger player and the staff. So you're the link, and then you have certain clubs will have leadership groups, which just lead the dressing room. The manager doesn't want to have to deal with stuff, you know. He leaves it to players. Now there are times stuff escalates, and it does need a manager's involvement. But if players can, you know, fix problems for themselves, I think it just leaves the manager to focus on the football and the players to worry about the training environment.
Is there anything in terms of kind of another big thing, emphasis on that was about standards and you maintaining and keeping high standards for the group? Is there anything from when you started your career that you find now with maybe young players coming through that is something that they maybe don't keep to the high standard that you might have been expected of you when you first broke through? Was there something that, like, modern young players, it's a lot different from it was when you were younger? Yeah,
I was only speaking to someone the other day, like when I first started at 17, going into the St. Pat's first team dressing room, it was, listen, you're in a very privileged position to be in here training with the first team. So you sit in the corner, you don't speak until you're spoken to, kind of thing, you know, and you don't question things in the dressing room. You go and you train hard, and if you're asked to go and move the goals, get the footballs or whatever, you do it, because you know it's kind of like you're earning your stripes, you know, that way. nowadays it's the young lads are in, they're full of opinion, they're, you know, listen, it's great, you know, but you don't want it to go too far the other way, where, you know, like I said, no idiots, where they might have been the big cheese coming from the schoolboy team or through the academy setup, and then you're coming into a first team, and it's totally different, you know. So it is a learning curve for them, but it's great. Look, I've said I would have loved to be 17 now, with the way the league is going, the natural progression of it. Well, I say natural, the way the structures that have been put in place, and the age profile of the league has come right down. Yeah. And I'd love to be playing now. So you're trying to get that across to the younger lads, the opportunity they have to impress the manager to get in the first team, but then to go on and, you know, go wherever they might want to go in their careers. But yeah, I'm kind of rambling on here.
Yeah, I think though it's interesting with young players now, because you wonder what is different, that they're more opinionated. Is it that there's more coaching, so to speak, from a younger age, and they think they've a better understanding of the game than maybe they do because they haven't played a senior game yet?
I think they do have a better understanding of the game, because I don't want to say because of FIFA and stuff, but you talk to kids now and they're talking, what position are you? I'm a cam.
You know, what? They love dropping that.
Do you know what I mean? Like, and it's he's laughing over there, like, but he's the same, like, you know. But they're watching, you know, they have so much more access to thousands of games of football over any one weekend, you know. And you'd like to think that they're watching it and maybe looking at their position or whatever, but I think they are a lot more educated on the game than maybe I was back then, with no Sky Sports, no social media or anything.
So accessible now, and even like on like TikTok, you can go on, you can see somebody's 1v1 move or a goal somebody scored. Yeah, it's interesting. They're getting more opinionated as the years go by.
Like, we see that as well, like young lads coming in. Obviously we won't name names or whatever, but you see a lot of young lads come in and they're giving out that they're not getting a chance in the first team, and it's like, you're only in the door like a wet week. Like, this is senior football.
Like I've said this, some of the lads this year, I never started playing regularly until I was 25 when I went to Sporting Fingal in 2010, and even then I only played half the games because the manager used to chop and change. Like. So like there's no rush, like, you know. Do the hard graft first, earn the respect of the players, the manager then, and see where it takes you.
At that stage then, so up until that time you started playing regularly, was your mindset like, right, I'm just waiting for my chance? Was there a bit of frustration? Was there, I should be playing? What was kind of your mindset for them early years when you were kind of in and out?
Like, it does start off, first of all, you really need to appreciate that you're in that environment, and you just, I don't want to say you're happy to be there, because you have to contribute, you know. But there is an understanding, you're not playing, you're not going to play in the first team, so you need to maximise the environment you're in, the training that you're getting, you know, the staff and what they're giving you, you know. But then as you get little tasters of it, you might get, like, I got in for a couple of games early on, and you get a feel for it, and you're like, yeah, I really need to start pushing now. And see, like I said, it was different back then because it was an older league and there wasn't a lot of money in the league, so I would have been seen as a second choice goalkeeper who wouldn't have cost a lot of money, so it was handy, like. But now you're talking a kid who would have been my age is looking to go out on loan now and get first team games, because first team games is everything, like, you know. So I mean, growing up, coming up through the 21s, it was different back then because we had the under 21 league.
Yeah, so you could just get games there. Like,
you could play. You were allowed 3 overage players, and your goalkeeper could be any age. So I knew I'd train all week, prepare for the game on Friday night. Didn't play, fine, but I'd have a game on a Saturday. So the week wasn't wasted, if you know what I mean.
You're still getting your minutes.
Yeah, exactly, and you're ready to go. You know, and you're playing with the 3 overage players who, like, you're growing up, you're seeing senior players coming back from injury, and how do they prepare for games, how do they play in games, how do they hold themselves, you know. And like that was huge for me, kind of seeing small things like that. And I know it's changed now a little bit with the 19s. They're allowed 1 or 2 overage players, So I mean, because I think the gap now between 19s and first team it's huge.
It is, yeah.
I'd love to see something done in between, whether the 19s goes a little bit older, or we I don't know, financially wise, we introduce another
reserve or 23s or 21s or
23s.
whatever. Yeah.
The gap is big, and it is tough to bridge that gap because you don't want to lose players, because there is some players that 17, 18, they're probably not ready for a senior dressing room, but that doesn't mean that at 2021 they might not be. But I think, again, you kind of alluded to it earlier, it's almost forcing kids 16, 17 to be like, right, if I want to make the jump from 19s to first team, I've got to be bang at it, and that's in every way. So I think that does for the I would say more the higher achieving players, they can go and jump in, which is obviously great. They get their senior minutes and whatnot. But yeah, bridging that gap is difficult. Can you see that happening in the next X amount of years?
I don't know. Financially wise, I know it's a huge burden on the clubs. I know the academies now are already like 14s, 15s, 17s, 19s are already. There's a massive cost on them. No, I fully agree with the way it's gone. I think it's brilliant that you've got the best players playing against the best players. That's the way I think it has to be. But financially wise, we need support. The league needs support, and hopefully that comes from government. And I feel that if that does happen, there's obviously no excuses. Then we have to produce players. Yeah,
I would agree. So hopefully something could be done in the next X amount of years. Definitely so.
It's actually interesting because you were making the point on some people, if you want to go from that 19s to first team, you have to be right at it. And there's a good example from, we had Carl, and he was talking about the Kevin's team that Evan would have played on. And you have Evan who comes at 14, and then Callum Warren, he made his debut for Drogheda as an 18-year-old. So like, it just shows that they were both on the same team, but how different a pathway can be, where one is essentially ready when he's like 14, 15, and the other one might not be till he's kind of 18 to 20.
And so both are absolutely fine.
Yeah. Third division could be another thing where maybe if clubs like that come in, but then it would probably be a loan system really, where people are loaning players out when they might want to keep them more in-house. So there's, I think like you said, it's definitely needs help. I think the league is going the right way. Like, you're seeing so many sold out attendances, particularly in a lot of the Dublin games and all that, and that just shows that there's an appetite there. If it's sold out, that you can increase capacity in stadiums, you can increase attendances. There's interest there, so it's hopefully just only a matter of time.
Just a slow burner, isn't it? Like with everything, it seems, in Ireland, but definitely in a lot of places. So definitely in football, it just takes a lot of time. It needs the right people in the right places as well. That's
the thing, and we haven't had that. I don't think we've had people with the best interests of Irish football, really. It seems like the best interests of Irish football weren't at the front of their mind for so long, but hopefully now it is changing. You know.
Let's hope so. Let's dial it back a little bit to yourself. Again, something we like to do is understand the person, let alone the player. So what do you think from your childhood that something we don't know might help us understand you a little bit better?
I just, as a child, like, I mean, there'll be people listening to this, the younger lads, and they're like, they've grown up in a social media age, or they've always had access to phones and Sky and stuff. Like, when you're talking early 90s, there was no Sky, there was nothing. You had a football and you had daylight. That was it. And you made the most of it. You know, it was home from school, homework done as quick as you could, and you were out with your friends playing football, and you could be playing 4 or 5 hours, and there was no talk of managing loads and stuff back then. It wasn't. You just played until you were called in, and that was it. I don't know. I grew up as a striker. I like every goalkeeper, I think. Actually signed from CIE Ranch in Inchicore to Cherry Orchard as a striker, and then after a year ended up in goal. So that's.
What age did you start then in goal?
11, 12.
Okay, right.
Oh, so that's quite young. A lot of goalkeepers start a little bit later. Someone would say it depends on obviously the
See,
person.
it was a weird one
whatnot.
because the DDSL changed. So basically, the goalkeeper went away on holiday or we missed the game, and we had no goalkeeper. So who wants to go in goal? No one really. But I ended up in goal anyway. Did okay. Then the DDSL changed the age, so I ended up going up a year with your Willow Floods, your Mark Yates and stuff.
Okay.
And as a striker going into that team, you're not going to play, are you?
Yeah.
Ended up in goal, and the club Cherry Orchard were great. They started putting on goalkeeping sessions with the senior goalkeepers. Used to take the schoolboy kids, and it just went from there.
Did you feel you had the bug from young, or was it a case you just gradually started to enjoy
to be a goalkeeper?
Yeah, to be a goalkeeper.
No, I was all about scoring goals. I loved it. I don't think there's a better feeling than scoring a goal. I was always a number 9, so yeah. But it was a realisation, I suppose. Like, if you want to stay at the club, I wasn't going to play, and that we needed a goalkeeper. and I turns out I done okay. So once you start playing well, you start getting, like you say, a bug for it, don't you? And start enjoying
It's so interesting because sometimes you'll talk to players, particularly again thinking about players trying to break in the first team, and they're like, I'm a striker. It's like, and the manager wants me to play left wing, like, as if that's such a massive difference. And you're like going from striker to the opposite end of the pitch, like
So young as well. I need to get into the squad at 11 or 12.
this is actually more kind of the coaching side. Because again, we take a lot of kind of summer camps and all that, and then sometimes you have a kid who really wants to play in goal and wants to stay in goal, and then you have some people who like to jump in for 5 minutes. They might concede a goal or two, and they want to come back out. Do you have any strong opinions on, let's say you were coaching an under 8 team, and little Johnny, he's like, I want to play in goal all the time. What would your opinions be on that? Would you try to give him as much time in goal? Would you rotate him at that age, or is it maybe if he has the bug for being a goalkeeper, do you kind of, I don't know, feel that fire
for under 8
or well,
whatever?
We'll say kind of younger age, around the age you kind of started in goal.
I suppose, like I said, with the accessibility to games on TV and stuff, kids are seeing goalkeepers as their heroes now. Like, whereas kind of growing up, we only had kind of Packy Bonner, and you'd only see that on RTE once every whatever, But I mean, for that age, I mean, it's kind of let the child not do what they want, like. But if he wants to be in goal, go play in goal, try it, like. I mean, at that age, the main thing is not being afraid of the ball being kicked at you. It's you're not talking about technique or anything. You're just like, if kids having fun, go with it, like. And then obviously you start getting older, you start working on technique and the technical side of things, and if they start developing, well, then you kind of see where it goes from there. But I suppose if they have if a manager has 2 kids that want to be in goal, you kind of have to
you can rotate,
and, give them minutes. Yeah,
it's interesting on that we were doing a camp in Blanche yesterday, or sorry, not yesterday, the day before, and one of the lads was in goal, and he just kept going, can we play fly keeper? I was like, go on. Corner happened, he goes, runs past me, he goes, I'm going to do an Alison Becker. They crossed there and went the other way. He was panicking getting back to his line. But it's mad like that, you forget just how different a role model is, especially like a goal, like Alison scores that goal.
Well, that's the thing.
Everyone's like, oh, I want to be Alison, I can score.
The next corner that they're playing with, they're looking over the sideline.
Oh, stop!
The importance of those role models.
Yeah,
it's key.
It is crazy, to be fair. I was going to ask you on while we're on the kind of topic of goalkeepers, and this can be as a kind of, how would you say, if you were to go, what makes like an excellent goalkeeper? Like, what's the key kind of trait you think that most of the top goalkeepers have in common?
Oh, well, I mean, it's all kind of subjective, isn't it? It's kind of, do you look at what a manager wants from a goalkeeper, or, I mean, we can all throw out the old cliches: big, strong, make saves, distribution. We can all do that, but for me, the thing they have in common is that, I mean, the team are comfortable with them, behind them. That's I feel that from myself this year, from early on, the lads at Galway were comfortable with me behind them, and that just helped me settle into playing games like that, while you're still learning what lads are, what their traits are in games, and reading their cues and stuff. But I mean, first of all, they have to be able to keep the ball out of the net. That's the main thing. like goalkeeping's a different sport. It is, because we have different rules, we have different kit, we have different equipment and stuff like that. So they have to be able to do that side of things. But then you're talking about how do they integrate themselves into the squad as well, and that can come from a manager and how the manager sees the goalkeeper in training. Is it a case of what we're trying to get away from is you go over there with a few footballs and two of you belt balls at each other for 20 minutes before we need you, or are we integrating them into passing sessions, into possession sessions, being a bounce player off a wall? Because even if you're on a wall, you're still seeing pictures that you wouldn't in the game. So what makes a good goalkeeper? Like it's going to be what I think is going to be different to what you think. I
think the point you made is great, though, that being the back four of the team being comfortable with you, because take a team that's quite possession based. If they bring in a keeper that's not comfortable with that, all of a sudden the back four players are thinking, I can't pass him the ball. Whereas, and again, there's nothing against styles of play. Maybe a team that's a little bit more direct, and the keeper's just a great shot stopper, but the other team, they aren't so worried about his build-up play, but they're still comfortable with him because he deals with crosses, all the other sides of the game. I think that's probably the most common thing, because all the top keepers suit the team they play in terms of style. And like that, obviously, keep the ball out of the back of the net. It generally is rule number one.
That's rule number one.
Yeah.
When I look at the goalkeeper, obviously I'm not too educated on goalkeeping side of things, but then you need to, like that, feel comfortable that if there's something coming into the box last few minutes, you're not going, oh my God, this could go anywhere.
We're United fans as well.
Yeah, we're United fans, so it's not good time for us at the moment. No, not a good start. I was thinking of one there. If you were to look at, I'd say, younger goalkeepers coming through now, so you see the vast, like, different niches and stuff. Is there a common trait that you see goalkeepers, modern goalkeepers, are really good at, first of all, compared to maybe when you were coming up and you were a little bit younger? Is there a top trait that goalkeepers are really trying to hone in on? For example, you look at Onana, why is he gone to United? It's distribution. So, like, that's one key niche that everyone's trying to attain. Do you see a specific common trait between younger goalkeepers coming up now that everyone's like trying to be?
I think they're trying to be a lot more comfortable with the ball at their feet. I mean, when I was growing up, it was 4-4-2 against 4-4-2, and every goal kick went into the opposition half. That was it. Yeah. Like, but now I think it's a lot more possession based, and you're playing with 11 players instead of 10 plus a goalkeeper. Yeah. So I think that's the huge difference. That everyone's trying to include the goalkeeper, I think. Well, I'd be hopeful that they would try and include the goalkeeper, especially like in build up and stuff. So I suppose that'd be that. It'd be the possession side of things that they need to be comfortable with the ball at their feet.
It's interesting because you see with young players like that where they can be really great at that, and then a team will eventually cop on when it gets more tactical and just go real high press. And then figure out what the keeper can't actually play the ball 30 yards to somebody's feet. Not like a punt up the pitch, but literally go, right, they've pressed our centre halves, my fullback's free. Depends on to see a keeper who probably should be able to at the age they are, and they because they probably never practice it, because we're nearly defaulted now to just put the ball down, pass to your centre half, and then that's it done nearly, and then you might get it back and play the other way. That importance of that 30-40 yard kind of clipped pass, which is a pass, not a like put the ball down and launch it, like that idea of still incorporating that part of the game, because although it's a 30-yard pass, it's still a type of pass, because if you get pressed aggressively, you can beat a press that way, not just trying to play obviously through. So do you see, like, at what age would you say that technique should be incorporated from a goalkeeper?
I think it's important to, first of all, I think it's important for goalkeepers to learn to strike the ball properly. You know, with their laces, because, you know, I know that from me, when I was growing up, I was out on the ground with my dad every night when he got back from work, just striking the ball, and it's kind of stood to me over my career. But it's funny you say about the high press and stuff. I think that has to come from the management of what they're doing in training, you know, like, and our kids just seeing one way of playing, and if that doesn't work, you do it again. Like, that's the definition of insanity, isn't it? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. So I think it's important. And I know when I'm coaching, one of my key beliefs for myself is that if I'm doing an exercise with a goalkeeper, I literally need to be able to pick that exercise up and plant it in the middle of the goal, and it looks like a game. their movements, their reaction, whatever it is, and I think that just makes sense to me, that what you do in a training looks like a game, and I know that's what's coached on the coaching licenses. It's match based reality training, and I think the more pictures that goalkeepers see in training, the more comfortable they'll be come a match day, whether it's the high press or whether it's a little bounce pass into the six, whatever it is. I think it's important that they see as many pictures in training as they will in the game.
I was actually on a podcast, it was 2 years ago at this stage, and we were talking about it, and one of the lads was saying he was at a National League game, he was 15s or 17s or something like that, and he said, goalkeeper put the ball down, and how the management didn't copy, he said it was mad. The other team set up with 3 people on the edge of the box, front 3, ready to go and press. He said every time they just rolled it to the centre half, got pinched. Not once did they go, what is actually happening in the game here? There's 3 of them standing there like this, ready to run, and it's like trying to teach the players that. And it's kind of comes down to coaching, where you're not like FIFA coaching them, going, I'm a player from the back coach. It's like, but that depends. Like, I think if they set up with 6 people ready to press your goal kick, you've got to teach the players or the kids to go, right, they want this ball here, but they probably don't want it maybe 30 yards that way or whatever it might be. It's just that.
They just got a plan A. And that's it.
Yeah, but it's like it's really a coaching thing, which is where I get frustrated. Where if I, for example, was playing against or coaching against a team, and I seen, like, we set up a high press on a goal kick, and we just won every time, and they haven't changed. I'm just like, it's not. You're just setting it up for us to go and win it again. Like, nobody's actually reading what's happening on the pitch, which is so important. And that kind of, like I said, comes down to coaching, where it's, I want to play out from the back, but it's like, okay.
I think you're finding that's just the manager, or that's the coaching staff just trying to inflate their own ego. Which is huge. Which like my own lad there, he's playing under 12 now. I've seen it throughout him playing the last couple of years. You just have managers who do it their way and no other way, and it's all about them. It's not about the players. And you find that the kids get naturally frustrated because kids want to win. Whatever way they play, kids are natural competitors. They want to win, and I don't think you should ever take that away from them.
No, 100%.
I think you should give them as many tools as possible to win,
100%. You mentioned Zach there was obviously training with us, great lad. When it comes to being a professional footballer, but now you've got a younger kid, what's it like as a parent? Do you find you want to be real hands-on as a parent on the touchline, or is it a case of trying to separate from it because you've probably seen it all?
No, do you know what? It's funny. I've seen it. I think he's an American basketball coach a couple of years ago. Was doing an interview, and he was talking about his own kids playing, and he was saying that if the kids come to him and moan about their coach, he's just, whoa, I'm not your coach. I'm your dad here. If someone's bullying you, or it's an issue with your safety, I'll step in then. But if it's a sporting thing, go and speak to your coach. And that's the way I tried to be with him. I remember I was over with St. Francis. I was on a trip with St. Francis, looking after the goalkeepers, and went over to Brighton. We played Brighton and Fulham, I think it was. But Jose Mourinho's young lad was playing in goal for Fulham, I think it was. I think it was Fulham anyway. But Mourinho stood. It was at the game. He stood about 70 yards off the pitch, just watching. And I find that's the way for me. Listen, this is just for me, that I want to go about it with him. That if it's a sporting issue, you go and speak to your coach. I'm not here to criticise your coach because I'm not in a position. I'm not volunteering my time. Don't forget, coaches are volunteers. They're not getting paid for it. Someone's volunteering the time to help you get better or to whatever. If you have an issue, go and speak to your coach. But that's how I try and separate it. Now we'll have a kick about at home, and I mean, like I said, with my own father growing up, we were out kicking ball, and he would teach me how to strike a ball and stuff like that's fine. Like, you know, if it's a team thing, you've a manager there. Go and speak to him.
I think that's fair. That's how we would probably value a lot of parents. We have a funny thing. Obviously, most parents or coaches that Zach are involved with, they probably know who you are, which is natural playing in the National League. But for a lot of times, we say that some of the best parents we deal with, we've no idea who they are.
No.
Never see them. They're never around. They're just, well, they're obviously around. They're looking after their kid or whatever, but they're hands off. They let the kid do the learning. And you see a lot of kids, for our session specifically, some kids rock up by themselves, 7 or 8 years old, rock up by themselves, go up, say hello to it just gives them their whole like identity is them. They don't need their parents with them the whole time. That's very important. And sport is one of the key things for that, is learning how to defend for yourself in a team environment, in a social environment. So yeah, as a parent, we value that a lot, that obviously you want the best for your kid, and like that, if it comes into something that's more than sport, that's when a parent, we feel, should probably step in, and rightfully so. But then when it comes to the actual football side of things, like that, I think a lot of parents do forget that the coaches, vast majority anyway, are just normal people volunteering their time and doing great things for kids. That hands-off approach is probably valued from them as well, I'd say. It makes
the one thing I will speak to them about is being coachable. Yeah. That's probably the only thing. And I'll ask them after every game, did you enjoy it? Yes or no, whatever. Did you try your best? Yeah. Brilliant. If it's no, why did you not try your best? What can we do differently at home to help you try your best when you go there? You know, that's the only real involvement. Now we will look for feedback and stuff, and listen, because I've played, I have opinions on the game, and
of course,
an individual player, whatever it is. Like I'll never speak about anyone else's kid. But if he does come and ask an opinion, you know, I think it's you know, you'll give it to him.
Of course, makes total sense.
Yeah. I want to kind of pivot towards the work you've done with the PFAI. So, to somebody who, like, for example, I don't really know a lot about it, to be honest. Really do what's them books they used to do on better examinations ones? It used to be like the books for dummies. PFAI for dummies for me here. What is kind of like their role? What's your involvement been with them over the years?
So the PFAI, PFAI Ireland is the sole union for the professional players in the country. We'd be in with SIP2 and the trade union. We'd be part of FIFA Pro, which is the World Player Organisation. Like I said, we're the players' union for professionals. My role is chairperson, which it has been for the last 3 years now. And yeah, the union's there to it covers everything really. For any professional player, kind of legal advice, financial advice, mental health support. You name any issue that a player can have, and the PFAI is there to support and help resolve.
Yeah. Nice. It's a good summary of it. It's good. It's as simple as that. I was actually listening to you on another podcast a couple of years ago before you were doing the work for Make-A-Wish, the crossbar challenge, which was unreal, by the way. That was an incredibly good thing to do. And one of the things you said, I was like, geez, when you put it into perspective, I think it was the end of the 21 season, 2021.
Coming up on 2 years ago,
Yeah, the 75% of players are out of contract the minute the last game finishes. That's crazy when you think about it.
Well, that was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
We as a union, we've done a lot since then.
Great.
So it would have been, when you signed your contract, it would have been a start date and end date, or it would say EOS, which was end of season. So like you said, full time on a Friday, which would be tonight, Friday night. Players would have been, that's it, our contract.
Yeah. Is that the 40-week contract?
Yeah. But now, like since last year, we went into negotiations with the FAI, the National League Committee, as well. We've now got a minimum wage for professional players, and a minimum wage for part-time professional players. So it's €430 a week for professional players, and it's only 130 for part-time professional players. That's too low, the part-time bit is. But look, last year was a starting point, and we're working on increasing that, especially with inflation and other stuff like that. But we just felt it was too low, but it was a starting point. What else did we do? We did, so instead of EOS on the contracts will now run until November 30th. So that's the end of the player registration period. So no club can lodge a new player until the 1st of December. So we felt it's important that
You're paid up until that point.
Which is the same. It's aligned with the same with the UK, I think.
Okay.
They do all that. Clubs would have tried to find a way around paying you in pre-season, and now if you sign a contract, you get paid from when you sign that contract.
Exactly. It's important.
Which is massive. Or the start of pre-season at least, you know.
Yeah.
So it's huge for players, and then now you'll find that contracts are finishing on November 30th, and pre-season starts start of January. So you're only that month. So clubs are just going, look, we'll pay you through December anyway, just to get your services. So finding players on 52-week contracts all of a sudden, which is incredible.
Yeah, considering 2 years ago was how different it was.
2 years ago was 75% of players were out of contract. So
it's crazy.
We've done a hell of a lot in the last couple of years. We have a couple more things that we want to get in and stuff like that. But like I said, it's negotiations are kind of ongoing and that stuff.
Do you have any idea what that 74% number would be now for this year? You probably would know, I suppose, in the next couple of months.
I'd only be guessing. So I wouldn't want to put a figure out there. You know?
It's crazy because I'm gonna kind of get onto more of the national team stuff, but it's just talking about like the domestic league and how that's something 2 years ago. It's still so recent, like, and compared to, and we always give out then, and we watch the Irish team go, why aren't we beating Denmark? It's like, you look at like the Danish league, they've teams to play in the Champions League every year. Like there's a correlation between a good league and a good national team. Like it's so, to me anyway, it just seems so obvious. But yeah, we've obviously neglected ours for way too long. Like I'd find that incredible. Like 75% of people, like,
yeah, it's crazy.
It's bizarre.
We'd spoken about it on the podcast as well, about when we were turned over by Greece, and everyone was giving out like stink that whatever about the performance, that listen, that's football, whatever. But just I think it's I don't think there's any other word for it bar ignorance, that we think we can just beat Greece, who won the Euros in 2004, with teams playing in the Champions League every week. Like it's crazy.
I find it as well. Look, I've been lucky enough to play in Europe, you know, a number of times, and you get drawn against someone from Latvia, Lithuania, anywhere, and should be them handy. It's like I said, it's a sport in ignorance.
Yeah.
Then you go, you fly to these places and you're training in a stadium that's 10,000 all see, or beautiful pitch.
Wow.
You drive through their training ground or whatever, and there's 6-7 grass pitches, watered, gym facility, everything. Like it is. We are a nation of sport and ignorance, I suppose, when it comes to football. And we have no divine right to just to turn up and just beat teams without looking at our own problems at home.
Yeah, even Luxembourg as well. They beat us, and then they think they're third in their qualifying group now, or second. They're second or third in the group with Portugal. Like it's like these coaches put in infrastructure 20 years ago, and they're reaping the rewards. I'd say it could be frustrating for you because since you've come into the league to now, I'd say there's probably a lot of facilities that are the same. There's like in that. That's mad. That's mad to think of. Like
it shouldn't be the case. Obviously, there's a lot of things that need dissecting to go into the real details of that. But like over a course of 15-20 year career, it shouldn't look the same.
It shouldn't. But it does.
It does. Yeah.
In certain play, I'm not going to name.
But
clubs.
it looks worse probably. Because
that's
the problem.
I'm not going to name clubs, but like you said, you go into it kind of still wet behind the ears as a 17-year-old, think, oh, this is great, but then it's like, actually no, it's not great.
Yeah,
it's not. There's no toilet in that dressing room.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Or there's one toilet, but it's in the showers, and you're like, what?
Yeah, it's
and it hasn't changed in 20 years, and I'm hoping that a lot of change is coming, you know, because we need it. We'll go nowhere as a country if something doesn't change.
Yeah, I think probably. But to finish off, unless you have anything else, but what would, on that topic of domestic football, what would like the immediate next step be for improving Irish football or the League of Ireland? If you could like wave a wand and change one thing in the next season, what do you think is the biggest?
If I could wave a wand, it would be everyone would have their own training facility, and not be looking to rent off junior clubs and stuff like that. Will it happen? Who knows? We like I said earlier on with the government funding, we need it. It's crucial for this club and for this country, footballing wise. We need that the government support. I mean, to be fair to the FAI, it's the first time they've ever kind of gone to the detail of putting a document together of, you know, of going to government with something real.
Yeah.
And like I said, with the union we were in the Dáil, speaking to politicians on behalf of the players and what's needed. And it's all basic. It's facilities and staff and making it more professional. Because the product on the pitch for the 90 minutes is there, or definitely getting there. But off the pitch, there's a hell of a lot of work that needs done.
I think the crowds really show that, like the attendances and all. And it's funny, Damien Duff actually had the same answer to the whole kind of. He was like, everyone talks about stadiums. It's like training grounds is what you need. Like at the end of the day, the players get better on the training ground Monday to Friday, not when you see them in the match day. So the training ground would be how you improve the football standard.
It's just environment as well, isn't it? Like you were saying, you go to a European, like these huge competitions, and you think you're playing against small clubs, and you go through them like, oh my god, like these are proper football clubs. And I can only imagine if clubs like that had an away day here, and they go, where are we training? And they go, oh, we don't have a ground or whatever to host you. So they're just looking for this local. I think it's just crazy. Like, and again, that ignorance does come into it, that we just think we deserve this and that and whatnot. But I think facilities, and again, funny enough, we had spoken about this as well, saying, all right, we need facilities and whatnot, and the last thing we need is like cryotherapy chambers and all that. It's just basic stuff. It's really basic stuff. More pitches means more contact time, means, and just XYZ, and it keeps going on. And that environment just breeds, you know, professionalism, and with professionalism everyone gets better, and it does correlate like that. I think that is probably the groundwork that is needed in the Irish game.
Look, I think it is important though that we fix the professional league first. I just talk of, you mentioned earlier about the third tier. I wouldn't bring in a third tier until the Premier Division has all full-time teams with a minimum number of professionals in each club. I think that needs to come in. And then obviously the first division is a little bit different, but I wouldn't be bringing in anything until they're fixed, because, you know, Brexit's given us a massive opportunity now. We have to nurture our own talent here first, before they go away to the UK. Obviously they can go to the EU and stuff, but I think it's funny. I think Brexit and COVID are probably the two best things to happen to our league in however long. COVID, it's the crowds, because when they weren't allowed into grounds, like it's that want to be there, and now I think you're seeing the crowds lift on the back of it. It's up to the clubs now to keep them coming back to do that work. And obviously Brexit then with the academies and stuff, that we need to have full-time people in our academies with our own facilities to make it right, to fix it. And then if they don't go away, they have a proper professional platform here, to a proper professional industry to earn a living.
And then if they do go away, they command probably they're a better player, so they're going to command a better transfer fee, which is then going to loop it all.
It is. It's not linear, of course, the trajectory, but it does seem to be going in the right direction. And with people like yourself in the PFAI, it'll definitely help to get it slowly getting towards that direction. Like you said, that minimum wage stuff, when that came in last year, huge. I remember seeing the news of it coming out and going, right, that's a big step now, that the players that are currently in the league are getting looked after. Everyone's kind of thinking about the future, but like, you need to look after now, like that, taking care of your number one professional league, and
we have to have something for kids to aspire to, because you've got a child that'll dedicate their lives 14s, 15s, 17s, 19s to getting into that first team, and then they've been, here's 100 quid a week, here's 50 quid. You're like, how is that? Like, it's not right. It wasn't right. It was happening. There's clubs that will try and find ways around everything. But like I said, we had a battle with some clubs to get it over the line and stuff. But Yeah, I think the full-time wage is okay, but the part-time wage needs to come up a good bit.
Mm-hmm. Right. And that's that.
No, that was very good.
That was great. Thank you very much for your time.
No problem.
Appreciate you having on. Obviously, we were saying for a long time we wanted to get you on. I'd say there's more that we can dissect. We'll probably go for a round 2 at some stage.
Yeah.
Get a part 2 in.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Last question. What's the plan for next year? What's the finish looking? You're in Galway next year, are you?
Nothing's been released yet.
Okay, right.
I will, yeah, I'm still playing next year.
Yeah.
Look, it's I'm 38 now. Look at Alamanis is only just retired now, 41.
Yeah.
He's a different animal altogether. Like he's like a UFC fighter. The way he looks after himself, it's incredible. Like you talk about having inspirations and stuff. Like you're looking at really older people, but it's when you're playing and you're playing against people, you're like, oh, Jesus Christ, I need to get to his level.
Mm-hmm.
I need to do what he's doing, you know. And 38, feeling good, really enjoying football, which is the main thing, you know. Love going into training with the boys. Probably one of the most immature messes around the place but when it needs to be. But when training starts, you can turn the switch and get down to the serious stuff. But you have to enjoy what you're doing, don't you?
There's a few more years of you.
Unfortunately for you, for a lot of people, yeah. No, look, I've always said, look, I'll keep going until the body tells me not to. I remember Gary Neville when he retired, he said, my body just gave up. I thought the body knew. And you know, you speak to people, friends who've retired and stuff. Like, when did you know? Like, I just knew. Well, I don't know yet. Like, you know, so I'll crack away.
Keep it going. Right?
Fantastic. Love to hear it.
Yeah.
Excellent stuff. Right. Thank you very much for your time.
No problem.
Really appreciate it.